Peter does not see himself as the Pope. He does not see himself as the rock upon which the church is built. He writes, "So I exhort the elders among you as a fellow elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, as well as a partaker in the glory that is going to be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God that is among you. Exercise oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly, as God would have you, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not domineering over those in your charge, but being examples to the flock." So the disciples don't see Peter as having been made a pope. Jesus makes it clear that Peter hadn't been made a pope. And Peter later makes it clear that he doesn't see himself as having been established as a pope.
As I show in my book, The Case for Catholicism, and my colleague Joe Heschmeyer shows in his book, Pope Peter, Peter certainly had unique leadership status in the early church, but we have to understand the kind of leader Christ called to shepherd his church. Some critics make a big fuss about how Jesus did not answer the apostles' question of who among them was the greatest, with an answer like, Peter, he's the Pope. Others say the fact that the apostles were even arguing at all over the question shows that they did not believe the title of greatest belonged to Peter. But the apostles' inability to understand Peter's unique role among them does not refute the doctrine of the papacy, any more than their inability to understand the necessity of the crucifixion, even after Jesus said it was going to happen, refutes the doctrine of the atonement. This argument also cuts against the critics, because Jesus doesn't answer their question with, who is the greatest? Well, no one. All of you are equal amongst each other. Instead, Jesus explicitly said that one of the disciples would be the leader, and he would become as one who serves. Jesus indicated that the greatest must act as the servant of all. That is why, since the 6th century, popes have called themselves Servus Servorum Dei, or servant of the servants of God. Continuing this same discourse, which is not interrupted until verse 35, Jesus singles out Peter and prays for him so that his faith may not fail and he would strengthen his brethren. Peter would be a leader, but one who serves others instead of being served. This explains why Peter refers to himself in 1 Peter 5:1-2 as a fellow elder and not as the leader of the church. In this passage, Peter is heeding his own advice to clothe yourselves with humility toward one another. By the way, Paul referred to himself as a servant using the Greek word diakonoi, which in other contexts refers to deacons. But Paul wasn't merely a deacon in the church. Paul even said he was, quote, the very least of all the saints in Ephesians 3:8. But that did not detract from St. Paul's unique authority as an apostle. Finally, Peter's address to his fellow elders does not undermine his authority over the other elders in the church any more than the president's address to my fellow Americans undermines the president's authority over Americans. The president is an American, but he has a leadership position over all Americans, and he exists, ideally, to serve them.